Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who have nothing but audio problems and... nah. A comedy game design podcast for two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me as always is Ben Slinger.
Hello, Trevor. Can you hear me?
Oh, Ben, I think for some reason you've gone to 48 kilohertz instead of 44.1.
Oh no, the exact thing that was happening to you for the last hour. What are the odds?
Yeah. Oh my god. Fuck.
So yeah, Trevor and I both sort of had some technical difficulties with some new hardware. So the benefit of that is Trevor is pissed off and I'm just pissed. It sounds like a good time to record a podcast.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
All right, well, we're going to start with some click pitch, like we often do. We might go into something a little bit later. We'll see. We'll see how we go. We've gone sort of deep on a few good ideas the last couple of weeks, so if we get in something good, maybe we'll just do one game this episode. The first game is just going to give us an hour's worth of material.
It has happened before.
Well, almost. All right.
Blind reflection.
Yeah, well, that was purposefully done. We haven't done that in a while, but maybe not tonight. So, Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we'll get a new word. We will each say it out loud, and we'll jam those words together to make a nice, chunky preserve of game design. Marmalade, if you will. Garmalade? No, that doesn't work. All right, anyway, should we jump into it?
Yeah, why not? 3, 2, 1.
Click.
Click that motherfucker.
Nation.
Bus.
Ooh, bus nation.
Yeah.
So something around public transit in a nation. Bus a nation. Bus nation? Like sort of a... Join those words together, no, that's not anything.
Bus station is, though.
Bus station. Crust station. Like a bus station, but it's like a crust station. Like it's got an exoskeleton and probably some claws. And that's how, when you want to get on the bus, it just keeps scuttling past and you put your hand up and it grabs you with its claws and throws you in its back. Doesn't even slow down. And you play,
I'm not feeling this already.
And you play as that bus station. All right. I agree. Knowledge. Victoria knowledge.
Inverse.
Inverse knowledge. The inverse of knowledge is stupidity. Well, ignorance, I guess. Maybe this is a game where you are a vampire that feeds on knowledge.
Ooh.
Or knowledge is some sort of... Yeah, knowledge is some sort of resource.
Some sort of food or...
Maybe it's a twin stick shooter where when you kill people, their knowledge comes out and you suck it up to get points and power-ups. And so you'll get more points for people who are wearing glasses or in lab coats. Because they are obviously smart.
Obviously.
Yeah. And then all of your... I wonder if there's some sort of mechanic around leveling up knowledge. Like, how would the game change as you got more knowledge in your system?
I don't know.
Okay, did you have something for inverse knowledge? I felt like you were about to say something.
Yeah, I kind of do like the idea of the vampire who sucks up knowledge. Kind of like in the... I'm picturing like an alien sort of vampire that... sucks knowledge out of someone's head, kind of similar to there was an alien in Red Dwarf.
Yes.
Or it was like a xenomorph or something like that literally just put a straw in their ear and just would suck the knowledge out. And I kind of like the idea that you can like get different upgrading your straws and that sort of stuff.
Like sharper end. Like a bladed end, so you can just like jam it into the skull.
Yep. I'm picturing, you can get like decals for your straw to make it look more like a candy cane sort of thing.
All right, so I like this. I've been playing a lot of God of War, quite enjoying it.
My copy of God of War.
Yes, thank you for that. Quite enjoying it. So I automatically went to this being that sort of like third person brawler where if you like, you've got moves where if you need I mean, I don't know if it counts as your health. Maybe it's your power up or something. You can literally like launch yourself at someone and you're sort of just like hanging off their back as you stab this like metal decaled sharp ended straw into their skull and like slurp it up. All the while you're sort of, you know how in those games like in Shadow of Mordor and there are some enemies in God of War, you can kind of control them as you're riding them. So you get to do a bit of that. Like you're hanging off them, you're just like sucking up their knowledge, but at the same time you're like spinning around so that they're hitting the other people that you're fighting.
Yeah, so I'm imagining that the straw is like somewhat heavy, like a metal straw sort of thing. So you can actually get that whole throwing mechanic of you can throw it into some dude's head and, you know, run up and just jump on his back.
You could use some of those mechanics from the Leviathan axe.
Yeah.
Like we could totally use some of those. I don't know. Would you give it the recall of the Leviathan axe, or is it something where you have to like go and get it?
You have to go and get it. I reckon.
Because it just like jams into whatever you throw it at, and if it's a person, when you go and get it, you can, you know, have a little sip.
Or it can be sort of like a a limited resource. So you've got like 12 of them or something like that. So if you lose one or two, it's okay.
Okay, maybe you've got like disposables, disposable straws. Curly straws, bendable straws. Those
you can upgrade to like one of those crazy straws. That like
those like straws that kind of have a bit of a spoon on the end that you use for milkshakes, and so you just like scoop out brains. I kind of like the idea actually moving beyond knowledge, but sticking with the vampire with a straw thing. That based on where you hit them with the straw, you'll get a different resource once you start sucking on it. So yeah,
just don't hit him in the ass.
Don't hit him in the ass. That will take away health. But you hit him in the brain, you get some knowledge. You hit him in, most other places in the body, you get some blood or something, which maybe is your health. Because I kind of like that mechanic. Like you get a headshot, then you're going to get some sort of powered up mechanic or like experience or whatever it is that lets you upgrade your stuff.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe, the knowledge is experience and blood is health. So you've got the choice between, do I want to get experience out of this person? And experience is going to let you, get new moves and that sort of stuff to add into your tree. But you're only going to get that experience if, you suck it out of a live brain.
Right. Yeah. You can't just go around. You can suck some blood out of a dead body, but you can't just go around sucking brains. Because the knowledge is gone. The neurons have stopped firing.
Yep.
I like that a lot. So yeah, you have to like precision throw. And not only that, you have to like get to them and start sucking it out before they die from just the impact of...
Or they pull it out and throw it on the ground.
Yeah, all that too. Okay. So I guess, I like this as it's a limited resource. It's not like the Leviathan Axe where it's like this one, immortal object. You basically you upgrade your supply. And you can buy more before each mission or something, or I don't know. I like the idea of like double, you hit straws into two people's heads at the same time and alternate between them. You like throw out a circle of straws all around you to hit multiple people at once.
You shove these two straws into their head, and then you've got like a beer helmet sort of thing on.
Yes. Maybe you can get like a special one-up power-up straw that is like extendable up to like 6 meters, so you can hit him from a distance and just suck from there.
A telescopic straw.
Yeah, it's exactly a telescopic straw. Maybe that's just an upgrade. I don't know.
I'm imagining that you can have like fighting moves in which you're fighting against guys, and it's sort of like they get that sort of dazed look, and then you can do a finisher, which is literally stab them in the top of the head and just take a sip all in one sort of move.
Occasionally, if you do it right, instead of just like stabbing him in the head and drinking the knowledge out, it'll do like this massive move. Maybe it's when you powered up or something, where it like stabs him right at the top of the head, the skull explodes, and then he just like yanks out the entire brain on the end of a straw and just like eats it like a toffee apple.
Oh shit.
I like this. So, like, in general, you're just fighting like fisticuffs. What's the sort of setting for this game?
So, it's set in a bus nation.
Nation of buses.
I'm thinking, I kind of like steampunk.
Oh, okay. There haven't been many of those that sort of style. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking that this is an alien who happens to look exactly like these creatures, which is just, human looking.
Yeah.
Whether it's just the fact that all smart humans and all the different species in the universe, actually, all the smart ones end up just looking exactly like humans.
Of course,
Kinda like in Star Trek.
Yeah, like we have obviously the ultimate end goal of intelligence is the human form. Well, I like. Interestingly enough, those alien, the gears all over its body are just actually part of its body, whereas everyone else is sticking them on for stylistic reasons.
Yeah.
So the alien fits right in. Yeah, okay. So you're an alien, you come down. So when you say steampunk, is it sort of 19th century, but with, with that sort of modern technology built on gears and steam, or is it more modern than that and there's other sort of...
I kind of like it being, 20th century, late 20th century, or even 21st century.
Okay.
So
you've got iPhones.
What we consider modern time.
You've got iPhones that you have to put like coal in the back of.
Yeah, they're all like gear and like steam driven and all this sort of stuff. It's just big rigmarole.
Nice. So when you buy games for your computer, you literally use Steam. You have to turn some valves. I need to keep turning this valve. Eventually, Half-Life 3 is going to come out.
You'd have some good jokes like that.
Oh, yeah, it'd be full of them. We're not going to say them now. We're not that quick.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. So, obviously, based on the combat style and stuff, it's pretty much a comedy game with the sort of over-the-top gore. And
yeah, I'm thinking you can even do
end goal, I guess. Kill the president. Because you assume as an alien that the leader of the country, being America, would be the smartest person. And then you get there and you actually lose all your experience when you suck out his brain, and that's the end of the game.
I'm now picturing that the antagonist of the game is another one of these aliens.
Okay. They're trying to stop you?
Who basically, I'm just trying to think whether it's like, one of those sort of antagonists that pretends to be your friend at one stage and then, ends up backstabbing you sort of thing.
Well, maybe maybe they've been here a while, but they've sort of assimilated a bit. Like they enjoy it here. Yeah. And so they see you coming and they're like, this fucker's going to screw it all up for me. So yeah, okay, so they try to befriend you.
So I've got a good reason as to why you're here. Mm-hmm. You're a bounty hunter.
Okay, yeah.
Who's chasing this
particular alien.
This particular alien down. What can happen during it is like a Men in Black style, like government agency that sort of comes after you because they realize that you've appeared on this earth and you don't belong here. So they're trying to capture and assimilate, dissect you and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Figure out how your gears work. Oh my god, the intricacy of these gears is incredible.
Or the fact that you don't have gears and you're using technology that doesn't have gears.
So they're trying to... you figured out the actual circuitry. So they need to
Yeah, it's all chemical.
I like the idea that there's no semiconductors, right? So they've still managed to build computers as powerful as the ones we have now. It's just they just had to change their entire building style. So literally the entire house around you is just made up of vacuum tubes and steam engines, and you don't need to heat your house, and also you can play Halo. I don't know how screens work, but anyway. Maybe
3,
it's like, all right.
2, 1,
I was going to try to come up with a way that screens would work. Paintballs? I don't know. Just really fast, air-powered. Okay. Fog.
Initiate
the fog. Well, we did that mist-based one last week with the monsters, but what else could fog do in a game? There are many things. I'm reminded of those old shooters, particularly Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, where to keep the frame rate down, they just had a distance fog that was actually really close. You couldn't see very far. I don't know if
I'm
that's
picturing
useful.
Fog of War.
Oh, yes, Fog
Where you
of
can,
War. Okay, all right. Fog of War's good, and we don't do many real time strategies. What's interesting about Fog of War? What can we do differently about Fog of War, and particularly the ability to initiate it? Right, having some control. I mean, I think some games have done this, but having some control over the fog that the other person sees, or can't see beneath.
See, I was actually taking initiate as initiate rather than initiate.
Oh, initiate rather than initiate. Okay, yes. Maybe this is a real-time strategy game where the Fog of War is not like the thing that they use to hide the map in places you can't see. The fog is the weapon. Maybe this is another steampunk world and everything runs on fog. No, maybe not steampunk, but I'm thinking like there's some sort of mystical fog that they can use to power their weaponry, or maybe the beings themselves are made of fog.
Yeah, like, so I'm sort of picturing the almost like a Diablo sort of view.
Yeah, okay, so a bit closer kind of units that you can really see a bit more detail
where
of.
you're controlling literally one unit.
Oh, okay.
And that is the initiate.
All right.
Into like a secretive society, and this is almost like your
initiation,
introductory. Well, your initiation to this secretive society.
Okay. But is it more of that Diablo style? I don't know. What do you even call that? Clicking combat?
Yeah, I kind of like if you played the Diablo 3 on any of the consoles.
Yeah,
it actually felt more like an actual action adventure sort of game.
Yeah, sure.
So
all right.
I like that idea. I like the fact that weapons are powered by this fog.
Yeah, I think maybe this secret society worships this fog in some way, and also uses it to power whether it's magic or weapons, and that could come into just like the lore and the skill tree and stuff, right? Like if you go down a more technology based thing, then you've got different weapons and different skills, but they're still powered by the fog. But also you can also they've found ways to harness the fog into things that basically end up being like magic, because they, it I don't know, maybe if you like breathe in enough of the fog, it enhances certain parts of your brain, or
maybe there's different coloured fogs.
Okay.
So you've got sort of like maybe the red fog is like an evil fog that is that powers monsters, but if you can somehow sanctify it.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking maybe sort of the primary colours are the different
fractions.
Well, no, the different types of power, like the different types of fog. But what that means is if you see some purple fog, then like basically you can have fog of every different color, and what that means is just like how many of each sort of resource you're going to get out of it. So purple fog, you're going to get a bunch of red and blue.
No, I'm picturing like a later on tool that you can get read the RGB values.
Totally, like you just got a scanner. It's like, all right, tell me exactly how much RGB is in this fog. And then maybe you've got like black fog and white fog or something. Like those are different. Maybe those are the sort of like the black fog powers them. It gives the monsters power, and the white fog is like holy of some. Like that's actually what you worship, is the white fog in this world of fogs. Now I've said fog
of war. Yeah.
The fog of fog. The fog. Foggity fog. Just like saying fog.
Are there any frogs in the fog?
The frog fog. The fucking frog fog. That's kind of neat.
I got nothing. 3 to 1.
Right. Publication.
Calendar.
Okay. My mind went straight to what was that movie, like Calendar Girls, or like one of those firefighter, like nude firefighter groups who do the calendar or something. Some sort of story where, you're in a group who wants to fundraise by making a nudie calendar. Not sure what the gameplay is. Do you just get to take the photos?
So I actually went down a slightly different route.
Okay.
Because you said publication, and I'm just thinking, what if there was an error in this year's calendar?
Mm-hmm.
And you're working in like the in the publishing office, and for some reason you put in 30 days in February when it was only supposed to be a leap year.
Okay. You press +2 instead of +1.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of wondering if there could be some sort of conspiracy or something like that this
It clicks over to February 30th and the gates of hell open. It's like you are between time. You have allowed us to come into this area of space-time. Yeah, so it could be that, or it could be you're working in a publication of publishing house, and you have wacky adventures with your co-workers. Are you just thinking about the implications of it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about just whether people in this reality have happened to embrace the fact that this one mistake that was made a while ago. It's kind of like almost like the idea that it's like
so it cuts to 300 years later. Now the world has changed based on this extra day in February. Does it just become permanently a 30-day month, or
I think every fourth leap year it turns into
it's like double leap year. It's like yeah. Or well, no, maybe what happened is this calendar company did this. They embraced it and called it like leap year squared. But what that ended up doing is it's not actually every fourth leap year. It like squares every time. So it actually becomes like larger and larger times in between them. And so this is set on like the fifth one or something, which would be what? So if there were, so you start with 4 times 4 is 16, and then 16 times 16.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
256, isn't it?
Something like that. I should know. I'm a fucking computer scientist. 256, right. So that's going to be, you can cut out all this math if you like. 272 years later, and then 65,536 years later is the next one. So maybe not 4. Maybe not 4 later. Because 4
How about
later.
1 later?
No, let's do 4 later, because that's 4.2 billion years. No, maybe not.
And it turns out that the
All right, 2 later. So they're like, in 16 years' time, because it's been 4 leap years, we're going to do leap year squared again. And then they go, all right, in 256 years' time, we're going to do leap year squared again, just to keep this train rolling. It's going to be the biggest event of all time. And so that's when this is set. And how has the world changed from these 2 marketing events?
well, I was trying to get to the fact that for some reason the government initiated the purge on this on this one day.
And they just meant it as a marketing thing too. They just meant like clear your calendar. February 30th, it's clear your calendar. It's the purge day. Clear your calendar and like deal with all your the things that you missed. And everyone just takes it as no, like we're going to kill people. We've seen the movies. Like, why did you call it the purge if you didn't want us to just go around murdering?
I just loved. I was literally about to say something about the purge, and you just started going on this mathematical adventure.
Mathemagical. No, I like the idea of a game that is based around the aftermath of the purge, basically.
Yeah, and it was just decided that we've got this extra day now that maybe it's kind of like in a universe in which February always had 29 days, and they've discovered that they actually needed to have a leap day because the seasons were actually getting
out of whack,
too far away.
Yep.
Which is, I think, how they sort of worked out how the calendar worked anyway. It's like, hang on, the seasons are getting well out of whack.
Yeah, after decades sort of thing, that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know where the game is in this. We've had fun talking about it. We can keep going. I just don't have a game. But, there's definitely a narrative, something we could come up with around. Well, so what I was thinking is, the first time this happens, yeah, like the government's like, yeah, it's the purge. Clear your calendars. And everyone's like, fuck yeah, kill everyone. And so they're like, oh, shit. All right, I guess we've got to do this in another 16 years. And then that comes around, and it's like bloodier and worse than the last. And everyone's like, yeah, I can't wait for the next 16 years. And the government's like, oh, no. You got a leap year squared. It's going to be another 256 years, motherfucker. And then everyone's like, oh, shit. But then the anticipation has been building this whole time. And it's kind of like Y2K. Everyone at the last moment kind of realized, oh, shit, we need to actually deal with this thing before it happens. And so maybe this is set in like the year before the Purge, where everyone has grown up. Like, this is generations in the making. All these people have grown up knowing, oh my God, we are in the generation who is going to get to take part in Leap Year Squared, the last one for 65,000 years. This is going to be amazing. Fuck yes. They've been preparing for it their whole life.
I mean, kids go through weapon training.
Yeah, like this is the thing. The whole entire society has changed to lead up to this point because, you know, the smart families 3 generations ago, 4 generations ago started training their kids for this because they're like, oh shit, in 100 years, Leap Year Squared Purge is coming. We need our bloodline to survive.
God.
And then, because then we can do the sequel at the 3rd Leap Year Squared. And then it's like a Horizon Zero Dawn thing where like all of humanity was mostly wiped out in the first one. And then it's taken 65,000 years to bring back any sort of society. And most people have forgotten about it. But then like there's a faction who's like, yep, sorry fuckers, you all forgot about it, but we're going to kill everyone. Because it's Leap Year Squared. They've got like this ratty old brochure from the government saying like, purge your calendars. Whatever the mistranslation of it was.
God.
And then it's just
that's what they meant.
Yeah, yeah there's everyone else is like, no, what are you talking about? They just wanted to give people a break from the stress of day-to-day life. And everyone's like, yeah, well, fucking take this break. I'm going to break your head.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Norm.
Rotation.
Okay, so it's a game set in Cheers.
Have you seen that game that someone made where you're going around on rolly chairs, like wheeled chairs, and you've got shotguns, and the only way to propel yourself is by shooting your shotgun? That's what came into mind, but yeah, in Cheers. I can't think of anything else now. Like, that's just stuck in my head. I can't like the idea that I've got this image of people like spinning Norm on his bar stool as they walk past him.
Oh God, yeah. I can't think of anything else. 3, 2, 1, click.
Last Man Sitting, by the way, is that game.
Okay, Raid.
Scientist. So you're searching for the perfect fly spray.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're a scientist in like a raid, sort of like the Battle of Britain or something like that. So
okay, you're ignoring my idea about fly spray. Okay,
of course I am.
Okay, a scientist.
I thought you threw it out there as a joke answer, not a.
No, I thought it could have gone somewhere. Different like consistencies of spray, maybe, or maybe it's just you work in a fly spray place while it's being attacked, and your main weapon is fly spray and a lighter. All right,
if for those American listeners out there,
oh yeah, Raid.
The reason why Ben is saying fly spray is because in Australia we've got a fly spray called Raid.
Raid. Is that the Louis the Fly one? No, that's Mortine.
No, that's Mortine.
All right,
Raid. Very awkward.
Very annoying
ad.
Yes. All right, so I've been listening to this podcast called Ars Paradoxica.
Okay.
Which is about a woman who finds herself back in the 40s from 20XX somewhere. They bleep it out, but it's approximately our present.
Cool.
And she's stuck there. Like, and they kind of, it's actually really interesting. Like, she's not even really trying to get back. It's just kind of about her life there and then studying how she got there and what other things they can do with this time travel, which is very limited in very interesting ways. Cool. So that's where my mind went to. Yeah, that's also just a plug for the podcast because it's really good. But that is where my mind went to. So obviously we're not doing Ars Paradoxica, the game, but the idea of a scientist finding themselves in the past could be interesting.
So sort of similar in the fact that this is a scientist who's looking at the time travel or something like that.
Yeah.
Travels back in time and ends up in the middle of like I'm sort of thinking like some sort of raid, but it's like from bandits or something like that, and it's
maybe they've gone back
sort of
further,
back in the 12th century or something like that,
like right back in history to a very barbaric period. Like kind of. I mean, we could go back to feudal England again. Bandits raiding like towns and castles and things. I guess I guess it's probably a narrative sort of thing then. And just what you do with that, not like what you're able to do with that knowledge. Like you craft things out of the materials that you can find there to make like more modern technology. You can you find enough to build a radio because you managed to like, I guess probably not in the 12th century. But you'd have to harness electricity and stuff like,
yeah. So I'm just wondering if kind of like in H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, when he went forward in time, but in this case, we're going back in time. I like the idea that he thought about if he goes back too far and needed some way of actually like converting energy and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
He had like spare batteries and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like they probably would have brought stuff if they planned this trip.
My question is around, are we just going to stick in this one time period?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that. Maybe not. Maybe this is sort of an explorative game, because there are a lot of games where it's like, oops, I accidentally found myself in the past or whatever. Maybe this is literally, you are a time explorer. You have invented this time machine and you're like studying, as a scientist, different periods, and the narrative comes from finding out that history was wrong about certain things, as you go through. And also, yeah, like I'm sure in some periods you do get stuck and you have to like solve puzzles to build a new battery to power up your thing. Back to the Future style, you have to like harness a lightning bolt or something.
So I'm wondering if the type of time travel that we actually go with is actually more along the multiple dimension sort of.
Okay, so like multiple
idea.
timelines where like there's like the multiverse. There's infinite timelines based on every possible outcome.
And it turns out that the going back in time, you're not actually going back in time necessarily in your own timeline, but you're actually crossing into a new universe that you're actually almost creating by trying to go back to this time. So
so there's none of this like you do something and then jump forward in time and it's affected things.
No, I think every single time
purely kind
you
of
travel,
observation.
Every single time that you travel, you end up in like another alternate universe.
So can you travel back to the present? Or
I think if you do, that you don't necessarily go back to the same one that you left.
Yeah. So there might be subtle changes, but it's also not the one. Like it's not like you've now made effects, or is it? Like, are you saying that you go back to 16th century and you stop someone from being decapitated, and then you come back to the future and everything's changed based on that change?
No, I'm saying that you go back to the future and you go to research it and you find out that no, in this reality, this person was still decapitated.
Yeah.
At the same place. So you start realizing, hang on, maybe I didn't change it, but somehow you make it into another universe where he happened to actually, not be decapitated, or whichever way we actually said. Every single time he goes back to the present, he's not necessarily going to the same present that he originally left.
I like the idea that you start figuring out, like, across the course of the game, or maybe relatively early on, you manage to build a device which basically tells you, like, it reads the, its particular entropy signature or something and tells you how different this universe is from the one you originally started in.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
And so there are going to be subtle things that are different, but you don't know what they are, or they could be huge things that are different because it's like a 7 billion on the entropy scale different or something.
I kind of love the idea that you turn up in a place where you find out that the only difference in this entire universe compared to your own is that you had a peanut butter sandwich for breakfast instead of a Vegemite sandwich.
Exactly, totally. Like it's the smallest value you've ever seen on the comparison tool device,
and your time travel self, yourself from this universe also decided to travel in time. So he's now stuck in some other place
universe
as well, so,
where he had cornflakes.
So I really love the idea that you can actually catch up with yourself in some of these.
Well, maybe because there's a bit of a residue left, right? There's a trail, and so your device can also track that. And so part of this is not just yourself discovering things about these different time periods, but tracking down your other selves who are also discovering things about these time periods and maybe leaving things behind. I like
the fact that there's an evil one of you who's just going around and literally obliterating.
Well, and I like the idea that you find yourself and I think they did this on Star Trek Discovery, by comparing that entropy signature of you can track the different entropy signature, and it actually leaves a trail. Mm-hmm. So you can tell when someone is out of this, not from this dimension, basically, because they kind of
it's kind of like I like the idea that they're using like a Geiger counter or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It measures those particles in the air which have a different entropy signature. That could be really cool. And and I guess I don't know what sort of game. I'm sort of thinking it just point and click adventure-ish sort of thing.
Point and click adventure with a bit of action adventure along the way as well, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I like the idea of having to sort of go through like this one raid, and you sort of not necessarily quick time events, but having to sort of almost
maybe
Tomb Raider yourself around and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and then
so maybe very much. So maybe full control of your character like a third-person action adventure, but mostly sort of point-and-click adventure style puzzles and dialogue.
Yeah, almost like a Mass Effect or something like that. Where
where you've got
you're sort of having dialogue
and
puzzles, and you can pick up inventory items and that sort of stuff. But then you're also having action sequences that can be
that's cool. I like that. Yeah, that's neat.
I like that, but I reckon we go into something different.
Let's do something different. Let's do something we haven't done in a while, i.e. anything that's not click pitch.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Abe Lincoln?
I thought you said Abe Lincoln, like a Blinken is a thing.
Hey, Blinken.
No, like just like Blinken as some sort of object or descriptor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm actually pulling up my Steam library right now.
Ooh, okay. I wish you could sort by release date. Steam has really bad sorting options.
It really does.
Like, for oh, fuck off. Can't open Steam on my Mac anymore because I updated my Mac. Yeah, like, this is a random, maybe you can cut it, but for a fucking thing that most people, like a lot of people have hundreds and hundreds of games on and they're adding to them constantly with like bundles and shit, it is really hard to just find, hey, what did I add to my library recently? Or what are the most recent release dates of the games that I have? Stupid.
Okay, so I've just gone back in time with thoughts in my mind.
Back in time with thoughts in my mind. Trevor Scott is doing a thing. It's been a while since we've had a jingle. What
I've got in my head is what would a new version of Bubble Bobble look like?
Bubble Bobble. Well, first of all, you can only play it while wearing roller skates, because that's the only time I ever played Bubble Bobble was at the roller skating rink.
So I don't care what the original game was like, but I'm not thinking Puzzle Bubble.
Okay, so are we just taking? Is this one where we're just taking the name of it, or we're doing a gritty modern reboot?
I like the idea of it being a gritty modern reboot, but we can take some liberties. It doesn't have to be Bub and Bob that are going trying to
going around and capturing,
rescue their parents or whatever.
Is that what they were doing? Was there a story? I guess there.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, okay.
So I kind of like the idea of it starting out with the like the old video game version sort of logo, and when you press start to start off, it zooms out of this like old arcade machine, and you see like a gritty New York City sort of thing, and you see two spiky monsters.
Are they still monsters, down the street, or are they just like people? Bob and Bob.
Well, given that I still like the idea that they're actually shooting bubbles out of their mouth. I like them being monsters because otherwise it's just creepy.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Although I just looked up the Wikipedia page for it, and in the original game's plot, they were humans who were turned into dragons. after after the girlfriends were kidnapped by Baron von Blubber.
Girlfriends were kidnapped
by Baron von Blubber.
Yeah, let's not do that.
No.
So I like the idea that they're
the ridiculous tropes.
They're siblings.
Okay. Yes.
They get turned into
Bubble dragons.
Bubble dragons.
We'll keep that bit. Is this basically the Super Mario Brothers the movie of Bubble Bobble?
No,
where it's this gritty version of the city and
kind of
sort of.
No, I'm trying to think. Okay, what's actually happened is their humanity has been stolen.
Okay,
and so basically there's a jar of each of their humanity somewhere in.
Ew.
That was just awesome, by the way. So there's like this jar of each of their humanities stored somewhere, and it turns out that in this world, if your humanity gets stripped away, you get turned into like a bubble dragon, or
right, like it's like your reptile brain takes over, or your reptile essence.
Yeah. So I'm liking the idea of a third person sort of adventure.
Okay.
In where you're able to like fire out bubbles and capture enemies and pop them and that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So there's a co-op mode, obviously.
Yeah, co-op mode. The idea that you can sort of bounce each other off of other bubbles and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's right. Because you could okay. So is there still sort of platforming, or is that more of you have sort of moves? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking kind of. How in games like Uncharted and stuff, there'll be sections where it's like, oh, you need to get up high, so come over here and hit X, and they give you a boost up. But in this case, it's come over here and hit X, and a giant fucking bubble comes out of his dragon mouth, and you can bounce.
And he jumps on top of it and bounces up to the top.
Yeah, it's more puzzle based, almost. And again, God of War has sort of different things where it's just one of the things you can do is create bubbles, and they have different effects on different things in the world.
Yeah.
So if you can fire out a bubble to hit a switch at a distance, or you can fire out a bubble to engulf something which can protect you from it as you walk past it or whatever.
So I like the idea of being able to fire out this bubble, go over and just stab this guy with your spikes. Basically in the bubble they can't do shit, but then you can totally destroy them by jumping into the bubble and hitting them with your spikes.
Right. I like that.
They're defenseless.
We've got to get a really good effects artist, because I just love the idea that they're engulfed in this bubble. You've got this really realistic refraction as you see him in there, and then you burst it, and that creates some energy explosion in there. So basically they burst with the bubble, and that's how they die.
Oh god, that's kind of creepy. I don't know. So where else do you see it going?
Look, the co-op thing is interesting. If we're going gritty, I feel like the platforming stuff is a bit too fun. I feel like we just need to take more of it into a story thing of wait, so what are these? What do they look like? Are they the same sort of misshape? Because are they in this world of other humans? Then they've been turned into these dragons, or they look? Do they look more like traditional dragons? But but when they,
I think they're sort of kind of human-esque. But they've got really big unhinged jaws, sort of thing that they can fire out these massive bubbles out of.
Yeah.
But they've got still the sort of same shape as a human.
Okay, so they're more like a dragonborn in D&D or something. They have dragon features, but they're humanoid. Okay, I love that. I love that creepy idea of them just when they blow the bubbles. Just just the jaw opening up and bursting out it's like when you're kids, as a kid, you blow a bubble by sort of putting some saliva on your lips and opening your mouth.
You literally see them lick their lips. Just fire out.
They do. They lick their lips, but their tongue leaves behind this big slather of saliva. And then they just kind of open their mouth and the bubble forms around their mouth, and then they just kind of go, and it goes, it's like kind of like doing a smoke ring as well.
And the thing is, in this co-op game, you never want to look at your partner as they're blowing out bubbles, because you'll literally get freaked out as their jaw literally unhinges. And
well, particularly the first few times, if you've literally or a human before and have been transformed into this, it's like, oh my god, what's happening?
I'm kind of picturing like when your humanity gets stripped away, that you have like one of those an American Werewolf in Paris sort of scenes of you just getting converted into
Oh,
the
totally.
into the dragon.
Yeah, it's like full on.
It's like super painful and
yeah, yeah. You're just splitting through your clothes. And, yeah, totally. All right.
okay.
Let's find.
We'll leave that one there.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah. I'm looking for something.
Obviously, I didn't end up going for the Steam library because I don't have that on Steam.
Oh yeah. I am looking through the Steam library and I'm like, all of these are pretty recent. I do have one. Do you recall a very popular little series that has not had a release in quite some time? Called Lemmings.
Yes.
Yes. Greedy repeat. Gory as hell. Full 3D blood physics as they explode. VR.
You said full 3D.
Well, no,
so
not.
How do the blocker ones work?
I don't think. Well, look, there was a Lemmings 3D.
Yes.
Which did work in a 3D space. I think, though, actually, we stick to a 2D play space.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, like, move all the way around it. I actually think this should be VR. Actually, now I'm thinking of it. I love the idea. And look, it doesn't necessarily have to be gritty now. Now I'm just excited about a VR Lemmings. But I love the idea of you're like this god in this Lemmings world and you're trying to solve the same sort of Lemmings puzzles as were in that game. But, like, to grab Lemmings, you just, like, look down and you've got all these different, like, buckets around your belt of the different Lemmings types that you just, like, grab one out, like you're grabbing it by the hair. It's, like, flailing around. But then, yeah, you put it down where it needs to be and it does its job. There's not much more to say about just a VR version of Lemmings, but I love the physicality of it, as often is the case with VR.
Yes.
And also being able to just, like, flick them. Like, when you want to blow them up, you just flick them and they go flying off into the background. It's like, I don't need this blocker anymore.
I'm kind of seeing, because VR, you really want it to be a 3D environment, but the type of 3D that I'm thinking of is sort of like a God game in which you're watching the Lemmings move down a path. Now, that path can be sort of winding in 3D space, but really a path that's only one way to one way to go. So it's sort of like almost going through a jungle sort of thing, that they're always going to be sort of on this path.
It really is a two-dimensional play space. It's just it winds along the path, and then there's obviously height, which is the other dimension. You don't have but that could give you some really interesting environments and the visibility around it, right? Because it could be winding around and, so you can see you can see the later parts of the path by looking through the trees or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. I like that. I do like the idea of being able to, like, flick the Lemmings away, or at least pick them up and just fling them away.
Yeah, totally. That's the thing. Like, once they're down in that true Lemmings style, once they're down, you can't actually just move them around. That would obviously defeat the purpose.
Yep.
But yeah, if you want to get rid of one, you can just, like, pick it up and throw it.
Pick it up, throw it away.
Yep.
If you go to put it down somewhere else, it just runs back to where it's... Oh yeah, it just explodes the second that you go to put it down.
Well, yeah, maybe when you pick it up after you put it down, it just starts ticking down to an explosion.
Shit. Throw it. So how do the builders work in this? Because I know that the builders in the other game, like, would put down, like, 12 blocks.
Blocks
and then
going up,
then you'd have to, quickly assign it the builder again and the builder again. And
Right, all right. Yeah, well, look, and I mean, obviously in those original games, that was part of the challenge, was sort of that management of those. You could do some interesting things. Maybe a builder, instead of just building blocks up, because you're in VR, you can sort of give them a path to build along.
Oh, yeah.
And it's obviously a limited number. Like, they can't just build endlessly because that you could easily game the system. But maybe once you create a builder, they've got, like, X amount of bricks, and you say, like, all right, build a little path here, and that ends up taking 5 bricks. And then, all right, I want to be able to get from this platform up to this platform. And now you've only got 2 bricks left. It's like, well, fuck, I can't do anything else with that builder. So now it's been used up. Hopefully I'll get them to the end. Yeah, what were the other things that you had? You had diggers, which would be a bit more difficult diggers, I feel like, because depending on how you set up the level, because you really need to be able to see what's underneath very easily.
Well, I know. I reckon if you see, like, from one side, you can only see sort of nothing is happening underneath. But if you turn the level around, you actually see that there's an overhang.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You could definitely do some interesting things in the 3D space with what you could.
So you had diggers, you had bashers, and the bashers
just like dug through forward, basically, like a tunnel forward.
Dug through forward.
Yeah.
You had bombers in which you could just explode.
Yeah,
and also
they
dig
had
through
like you click it on them, and they just like after a certain amount of time explode.
Yeah,
you had builders,
and the idea being that you could actually,
about.
You sometimes had to use it to get through like a certain bit of rock or something like that.
Yeah, because the bashers couldn't bash through it. Yeah, you had blockers, which turned them around.
Yep.
You had parachute ones.
Yes. Well, umbrella ones.
Umbrellas. That's right. Yes. So they could fall from a great height. So sometimes you needed them to go down and like then build back up or something. What else was there?
I'm sort of thinking, is there something else that we can bring?
Yeah,
in
like can we add new ones for sure?
Like a bubble bobble one where you turn them into like a creepy dragon that can like fire out bubbles. And a Mario one where you give them a mushroom and they turn bigger.
There were miners who just dug down
on a diagonal. Yes.
Oh, the diggers. Yeah, diggers. Oh, diggers dug down. Miners dug diagonally. Yes. Builders, blockers, floaters was the parachute, bombers, climbers. Oh yeah, climbers just climbed up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What other interesting things could we add? Flyers.
Hang gliders.
Yep. They go off like, instead of just falling down with a parachute, they go off at an angle and glide. And maybe they can catch like updrafts.
I like the idea of having like a zipline creator.
That's
so you
cool.
can basically create a zipline down to an area so that they're all able to go down on the zipline. But in order for the zipline to work, there has to be something on the other side that it can actually connect to.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe you can like, you could almost do, and this is just, part of this is just because of the side on view, but like elements of worms in Lemmings.
Mm-hmm.
Where maybe you've got a bazooka lemming who, but you have to aim it and do the like power of it to try to blast a path through that you're then going to like send your builder through or something. Yeah. And the zip line could work in that same way. It's like, all right. And again, like you got to get the timing of it right because the lemmings are just walking, but it's like, all right, let this lemming get to the edge of a cliff and then click on and make them a zip line one. And then it gives you like maybe one of those like, pendulum kind of up down, arrows. That's like, and you got to hit at the right time, and that's the angle that it fires out at.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you might like waste that if you don't do it well enough, or your zip line's gonna go somewhere you didn't want it to. But yeah, I like that idea of a zip line actually because you could do it upwards as well, and they like climb it.
Yeah,
and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's cool. When they when they hit the end, they just drop off. Trampoline, lemming.
Gymnast.
Biathlete. Is that a thing?
Fencer.
Yeah. This is Lemmings Olympics. Pole vaulter. That one could be useful.
That one could be very useful.
Equestrian. Like rides a horse, but all it can do is like dressage.
High jumper.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. You can do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
It is about time. Look, it's about time that there was a new Lemmings. Someone figure out how to bring that to the modern day. Other than just what it looks like they've done, which is release the old versions on, like, portable devices.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. Give me a new one. All right, well, look, I think we've got time for one more, and I think we'll try something else that... Look, this is a segment that we thought of before we even started this podcast. And have we maybe done it once? I'm not sure if we've ever done it.
I don't know if we have.
So anyway, what we thought we might try to do is improve a game mechanic. So this is not a specific narrative idea. This is not a specific kind of idea from a random word generator. This is literally just something that is used in games as a mechanic. Maybe hasn't been used for a while, and we're going to see how we can make it better and make it modern and bring it back. Take it back. So I did have one in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Bubble Bobble earlier. And
yes.
One of the sort of features of those old arcade games, and I'm thinking like the original Mario Brothers, as in not Mario Brothers 1, Like,
But the one set in
it
like
wasn't Super Mario Brothers. It was literally just Mario Brothers.
in the room with all the pipes.
Yes. Single room levels. Like every level in Bubble Bobble was just one screen. Same with that Mario game, and a lot of arcade games from that time had that too. Any sort of platform arcade games. The other feature of them was that if you went off the edge of one side, you would come in the edge of the other side. Yep. I'm kind of wondering how that would work in 3D. How would you do this when you have full control of the camera? You just got this one space, and as you like, do you block it off and just have them sort of teleport to the side, or do you literally like look in one direction and see endless versions of this level rendered out into the horizon?
The way that my mind is thinking is, say this is an open world sort of thing that you're in the forest,
an open world game set on a single screen. Yep.
So, do you remember the old game King's Quest?
Yes, I do.
So basically, you had a 3D world that wrapped around north to south and east to west as well.
Okay.
So I'm picturing that this world is quite large, but if you continue in one direction,
you'll end up where you started.
And it's just continuously wrapped around that way. So if you're heading straight ahead and someone's running back the other way, you will actually come and face them.
Right. So it's not so big that it's going to take like 10 minutes for you to get all the way around.
No.
It's going to take like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
So,
yeah.
I was sort of thinking of how would that actually work in today's sort of thing. I like the idea of the wraparound, whether it be in an adventure game or something like that. I always quite liked that idea that it wasn't just oh look, here's the reason why this world has stopped. It can just continue on and make it feel like it's going on forever.
Right. Yeah. Even though
in
just
reality, what you're doing is you're actually wrapping around yourself.
So yeah, look, I mean, the only issue I see with this is like when you're talking about it in 3D, of course, what you're talking about is a sphere that you're running around. Even if you can't necessarily see the shape of that sphere within the game because it's done with some trickery of connecting them up. And there have been some games that have done that before. I wonder if though, because I guess the thing is, and particularly with those single screen games, and again, I'm not sure how you translate this to modern 3D, but in those games, if your enemy is over on the right hand side and you're over on the left hand side, then they might not sort of think to see you until you go across that screen barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you're on the left side and I'm on the right side, can't I just turn around and shoot you?
Yes, you could, but you might not think to because you're focusing on something else over there on the right. So there can be an element of surprise as you cross that barrier, and that's something that just an endless sort of world wouldn't have. So maybe this is more of a set spherical space where you can kind of see the edge of it.
What if this was set in a warehouse?
Oh, okay. So we're going even smaller.
So it's in a warehouse. There are doors on the north wall that match up with the ones on the south wall.
Yep.
And there's ones on the east wall that match up with ones on the west wall.
Yep.
So if you go through a door, you end up on just the other side. On the other side.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Because you could do some interesting things with that. Because you look across the spans of this warehouse and you see someone you want to attack all the way over the other side. They might not have seen you. You're pretty far away. But you also know that if you go through this door over here, you're going to come out right next door.
What I love the idea of is, if it's, say, low light and you happen to look through this one roller door that's open and you see someone on the other side of the room and you shoot them and you shoot yourself in the back of the head.
Yeah, well, that's it. You could have open spaces. You could have fucking windows. So that if you do get the right angle, you can look through the window and you see where they are. And that means like, oh shit, turn around because you've just seen them sneaking up on you, in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. That actually is quite a good update of that single room wraparound, idea cause I'm just thinking almost like a shooter or something.
Yeah.
Like a first or third person shooter.
I mean, technically that's, when you think about it, that's all Bubble Bobble was. It was just a shooter.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just happened on a 2D screen, but now you do it on a
in a 3D world.
in a 3D space. And you've still got that squareness of like the warehouse and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, or at least a limited space. Look, you wouldn't have to keep it completely square, but you've got that awareness of, oh, that door's going to come out over there. And maybe you can do things like, well, if there is a roller door, or there are different types of door that sometimes open by themselves, and so if you time it right, you can like shoot a rocket through, because you caught a glimpse in the window. And it's like, all right, okay, that door's opening, and boom, like shoot the rocket through, and it comes out behind you, but manages to hit someone, or doesn't, or hits you, or whatever.
So one of the powers I'm sort of picturing that you could have in this sort of game is basically like maybe even a roulette sort of thing, so that you can actually change where the doors come out of.
Yeah, I like that idea. So maybe they're color coded. So like the green door is always going to go to the other green door, but there is some way to basically randomize those colors in certain ways. So that if you go through this green door and you don't pay attention to where the other green door is, you might just come out next to yourself. Like it's just the other door in this same wall or something. And yeah, so that's another strategic
kind
thing you can do that
brain meltingly like hard, like Portal was.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's basically elements of Portal. But with these fixed portals that you can just change the destination of. Cause yeah, I like that idea that's like you see someone in the distance, you see that they've noticed you. So they're like, all right, shit, head towards that blue door because you're near the blue door. But you
fire off a power up.
You fire off a power up as they reach that door, and it shuffles them, and they come out somewhere else. And now you've got the element of surprise. Yeah, yeah.
As long as you sort of work out where the hell you are.
Yeah. Oh well, and maybe there's some control. Maybe it's not just a completely random thing. Maybe it's a targeted thing. Maybe it's to say no, change the color, like switch the color of these two doors,
or rotate round to the left.
Yeah, or something. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I think we did a good job of improving that game mechanic, or at least bringing it into how it would work in a modern setting.
How it would work in a modern setting. Yes.
Nice job.
Yay. Okay.
That
was a fun thing. Let's see if we can bring that back every now and again.
Yeah. It's always fun to mix it up a bit and do something other than click pitch. Cool. So, well, I think we'll leave it there tonight for this week. Mm-hmm. Thank you all for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you want to find us online, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. BitstormCast on all of those places. We have a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Bitstorm. We are on YouTube. Just search for YouTube. The link is also on our Podchaser page, which is the next thing. Go to Podchaser and rate and review us there. And, hey, you know what? Little secret. Lists should be out by the time you hear this. So you can add us to lists, or add your favorite Bitstorm episodes to a list and send it to us. Send it to your friends. For God's sake, listen to our podcast.
And then please rate and review us on iTunes if you use that service. And
nobody uses that.
Of course, you can subscribe to us there. We've got a website, bitstormcast.com. We've got friends at the AGPN, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network. Check out their awesome podcasts over there.
We shall see them on Saturday night. Hello.
By the time you hear this, we shall have already been at the AGPN drinks. So don't bother coming along to that because
come out last Saturday to Bartronica and see us. Oh, that's not going.
Where I still won't have edited the episode yet. So check out #AGPN on Twitter or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to thank us from Kurudust for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
So, thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. Ben, what's happened to your face? Like, your jaw's unhinged and you're blowing bubbles at me.
You're dead.
Creepy.